New video for the new folks in the league this year. I'm going to cover some things that I did in last year's video, but I wanted to add a few more items to it. No reason to dilly-dally. Let's just get right into it. Number one, selecting your keepers. The mobile app might be a little different as far as how to get to it, but if you just find the team section and then go down to, you should see something called Keeper Admin. Just go to that and it takes you to this screen, and this is where you can check the boxes on the players that you want to hang on to. It's very simple. As you can see, it doesn't have the rounds on these though. I pasted them in the conference specific channels on Discord, so you should be able to see them there. One other place you can go to look at this thing is if it's just one guy and you don't want to go and look at all of the draft rounds from last year and see where he was taken and by who, if at all. Another easy thing to do is go into the players section here and search for the player. We'll just take Jokic, for example. If you go into the specific player, it'll tell you his acquisition history for the entirety of this league. So it goes back all 5 years. If you go to this thing called Trans Fantasy, it'll bring up the history of Jokic ownership, basically. And if you just go to last year about this time, so as you can see here, October 1st, 2024, Jokic was drafted, and it's got 4 different times he was drafted because 4 different teams picked him up. So that's a good place you can go to look at draft history. Let's find somebody else that was maybe taken later or maybe not at all. Let's just take a look at Peyton Pritchard. So last year, Peyton Pritchard it looks like he went undrafted by every conference last year. First transaction of his during last season was not till October 28th when he was a free agent pickup by several teams here at the end of August, beginning of November. So Pritchard would cost a 4th round pick to anybody who wanted to keep him this year. The draft results that I did paste are also available right in here too. If you go to other and then go down to draft results, it'll show the current season's draft board, which obviously is blank, but there is a drop down. You can go to an older season. There's a drop down for each conference too. So you can look at the draft results or draft board for every single conference for any year right up here. Number 2, after we select keepers, what's next? The draft. For those unfamiliar with how a slow draft works, this is set for 7 hours per pick. So the countdown will start and it'll give the first pick in the draft 7 hours to make their first selection. Now what this means is this stretches out the draft over multiple days, obviously. The 7-hour time limit is set for other things going on in our lives. If you're at work, if you are sleeping, if you just happen to be busy with other things. It's not meant to take the full 7 hours for every single one of your picks. So if you are available to hop in and it is your turn, please go in there and actually make your selection so we can keep the draft moving at a reasonable pace. Historically, these drafts have taken anywhere from, I'd say, 7 to 9 days on average, usually closer to the 7 days. You got to figure at least a week before your draft is completed, probably. But if we start getting to a point where the pace is so slow that we are getting closer and closer to opening night and we still have a lot of picks left, I'm going to have to go in there and shorten those times down from 7 hours to maybe 4 or something, just so we can make sure that the draft is completed before opening night. So keep that in mind too. Third item, this is an important one. Now that we've drafted, what's next? The season starts. I have it written out in the Constitution. I have it written out in the league breakdown. I did cover this a little bit in the video last year, but I'm just going to kind of walk through how you in week 1 can compete. Opening night comes. Let's say this is your roster. You have 2 games that night. One of them is an awesome game and that player maybe only has 1 or 2 games left in the week, and you look at it and you're like, yes, I want to lock that guy in. All right, so it's Tuesday night. He does well. You want to lock him in. You have to communicate that to me right over here in these chat channels. The first one we have is the general. This is where all 40 of us are. This is for just all sorts of league-wide communication. This is not where to lock in your players. You should see one underneath general that is specific to your conference. So let's say you're in the downtown district. You will go into that chat channel, and I'll just scroll through here. I think you guys can see this history too. It's something as simple as lock Keldon, okay? If I see I got LeBron James on my team, all I have to do is put in lock LeBron, and that's it. I will take care of the rest for you. The other part of that is the deadline to do that, to make that specific lock. The deadline for locking that game is the following day before those games begin. So if someone goes off on Tuesday night, on opening night, and you want to lock him in, you have to communicate that before the first game starts on Wednesday. You can't wait until later Wednesday night. You can't wait until Thursday. Even if, say, LeBron doesn't play again until Friday, you don't have until Friday to lock LeBron in. You have the next day only, and it has to be before the games begin. We set a hard deadline for that too. A year or two ago, it used to be a soft deadline, but it got to the point where we needed to make it a hard deadline. So if the first game on Wednesday is 6:00 p.m., Central Time, you can lock him in up to 5:59 Central Time. I may not get to it immediately, but that's when I can go back and check the timestamps and make sure that it was locked in time and then plug it in for you. The other part of this is the starter spots and the bench spots are for me to sort of make those moves for you. Don't go in and add a bunch of guys to your starting lineup who have games that night. It's unnecessary. You don't have to do it. If you can, keep all your guys on your bench as much as possible because it gives me less work to do later. What I do is, let's say, as you can see, LeBron, Tari Eason are both in bench spots here, right? And I want to lock in LeBron. I end up retroactively moving him to the starting lineup for Tuesday. That way his game counts and scores for you. That is what the starting lineup spots are for. They're basically for me to plug in the guys that you've locked in order for those scores to count. If you have a guy that you've moved down to your IR slot and he plays and has a great game, you cannot lock him in if he's still in your IR spot. You need to have moved him into an active roster spot before that game began. Okay, we had a few issues with that last year too. Several, actually. You can't lock in one of your guys if he was in an IR spot at the time. You have to move him out before that game begins in order to be able to count him. These are things like you guys can't come to me this year asking to make a move for you because you were a minute late or because you forgot to move them out of IR. I can't do that stuff for you. All right. In all fairness to the rest of the league, we have these very set rules. All right. If you are a minute late locking a guy in, that's on you, and I cannot make that change for you. If there's a guy in your IR spot that you moved him out but not in time, I can't do anything about it unless it's some sort of website issue that's going on. Then we can get Fantrax support involved, but you can do that yourself too. You don't need me to do that. But what happens is I have people coming to me asking if I can make little moves for them, overriding stuff, and I can't do that. As a commissioner and being fair to everybody, in fairness to everybody in the league, I can't do that. So again, to repeat, you see a guy you want to lock in on your team before the games start the following day, go into this conference specific chat channel and just type in lock so-and-so, and then I will take care of the rest for you. You also have to be aware that certain days have early games, especially the weekends. There could be a game that starts at noon my time, noon Central Time. That's the deadline for the day. So that's important to know too. I typically will send reminders in the general chat about an early game coming up tomorrow. I do my best to just kind of send those reminders out to everybody to see and just be aware of, but I may not get to them all. So it's also on you to just make sure you are aware of game times and when they start each day. So as you can see, the communication part of this league is critical. If you're not communicating to me your locks, you can't score, with the exception of Sunday night. And that's what I'm going to get to next. It's the last day of the matchup week. You have 3 spots left to lock in. You have 8 guys playing on Sunday. Sunday games take place. Then it's Sunday. It's Sunday night. The games are over. You don't have to communicate those final 3 locks to me in the chat channels. You don't have to do it. On Sunday night, once the games are done, I will go in and I will automatically lock in whoever your highest scorers were from Sunday into your remaining spots for you. Monday through Saturday, it's your job to communicate to me who you want to lock in. But come Sunday, the final night, or whatever the final night of a matchup week is, I will take care of it for you. You don't have to do any work if you don't communicate any locks to me all week long. First of all, that's a problem because you're not competing. Second of all, if you have 8 guys, then at least 8 or more guys play on Sunday, I'm going to lock in your 8 highest performers from Sunday to your 8 spots, and that's how it'll be. But we don't want that in our league, obviously. We don't want inactivity in our league. If you're going to be doing that, I got to send out an inactivity warning. If you've had just a terrible, terrible week and you've only locked in 2 guys on up until Sunday, but you see, you have only 5 guys playing on Sunday, that's only a total of 7 players that could be locked in. So I'll obviously lock in your 5 guys, but then you'd have an open spot that you didn't even use for the week. That's where your player ads come in. Make sure you guys are utilizing those, especially on the weekends. If you see that you've still got 3 spots to lock in by Sunday and you only have 1 guy on your roster playing on Sunday, then you may want to go and add a couple of guys who have games that day so you can at least take advantage of your remaining spots. Otherwise, you're going to come up short and you're not going to win that way. So I hope all that is clear for you. I'm available to answer any questions regarding that whole method of scoring, but that is sort of like the essence of our league right there, is that communication part. It is key. Number 4, the Google Sheet. If you haven't been in this yet, there's a link right on the main page in Fantrax right here under Commish Memo. You can find it there. It's also available on the Discord. I think it actually has its own channel labeled League Google Sheet. This is the one for this season, and it's got all sorts of helpful information in it. It's got some basic league settings and the teams that are in it this year. It's got the keeper tab. So after our keeper deadline, all of the selections will be put into here. This Google Sheet is something I'm in every day, and I'm updating stuff in every single day of the season. It's got our draft orders, the payouts. It's got the scoreboard, something that I update daily, and I track right in here with all 40 teams on one screen to look at. If this is something you want to follow along with, great. I think some people do find it just as useful as I do, as opposed to the matchups / scoring page here in Fantrax. You can use this as well. As you can see, I have tabs for the Kings Cup and City Cup and Eliminator Cup. These cup games are not in Fantrax. These matchups are only on the Google Sheet. So there's going to be some weeks where you see you have one matchup in Fantrax, but then if you're participating in one of these tournaments, you got to come here to see your other matchup. The Eliminator Cup is new this year. We'll see how this goes. You don't have to follow along if you don't want to. There's no extra work for you to do. It's just an extra bonus that I added this year. We'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think of it later on. Last thing I just want to mention is that sort of my main form of communication to all of you. In the off season, it's almost exclusively on Discord. Okay, I pretty much just communicate through there during the summer months, but once the season begins, I still use Discord all the time, but I start using the general chat for a lot of communications to all of you. I'll send an email out once in a while too, not very often though, but you can always get a hold of me in here or on the Discord. That's it. I know I covered a lot, but it's all very important to the new folks in the league. So hopefully you guys all watch this. And again, I'm always available if you have questions, if you need clarification on anything. Okay. Good luck, guys.